Here comes a new challenger!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Ridley analysis. A quick one, but a sad one. Ridley was, I would say, one of, if not the most hyped character for the base roster when it came to Ultimate. Probably K. Rool took that spot away from it, but a lot of people really didn't think it would happen, and well, he's finally in the game, he made it into the game, and it's quite interesting, but is he good? Not really, and that's really what we're going to be discussing in this analysis. So, what makes Ridley not so great of a character? Let's talk about some of his strengths. In terms of speed, he's pretty fast. I mean, he's still not like fast as you'd like, but he's decently quick, so he gets around decently well. He's got 2 mid-air jumps. That's great. Having multiple jumps allows you to mix up your recovery in all sorts of ways. Whatever. What else does he have? He's in the game. He stands up. Okay, let's talk about why he's not so great, shall we? Let's talk about his neutral. In terms of neutral, he suffers a sort of Mewtwo syndrome, where he struggles because of how his hurtbox shifts and other whatnots like that. For instance, if we were to get a star, he has his wings, and a slight bit of his tail as a hitbox. Now, this wouldn't be such a problem normally, right? I mean, the wing hurtbox, as you saw, is pretty close up to his body, and his tail hitbox wasn't that large compared to like Mewtwo's, as an example. But say, for instance, like K. Rool here, K. Rool, when he hits you and all this sort of stuff, you get sent flying, all this sort of stuff, whatever, right? And you may have noticed that as I was hitting him, Ridley kind of extends his body outward, right? His body, like the way he hurtbox shifts, it's kind of like he turns from like this pretty slender-ish character, right, to like a big circle, right? Becoming much easier to hit than other characters, right? Especially like other big bodies. He's pretty easy to hit because of how he has his hurt animations. He's kind of like really like elongated. Think of like a T-pose being hit everywhere. I mean, it's like the best way I could describe it. So when it comes to, neutral, he essentially has to sort of play a sort of campy game, wait for you to approach, and then hopefully he hits you with one of his big but slow buttons, which he has, where his quicker moves are much smaller buttons. Aside from this move's deadly. I believe it 2 frames when I remember, and if not, it still catches people on ledge pretty well. It has a sweet spot. It's fast, it's quick. This is actually, I would say, one of Ridley's better moves because of how just versatile it is. You can't really use it like for combos. You can use it for like tech chase setups, right? Or whatever the case may be. But at the very least, it has a use, it has a niche. So that move's pretty great. But outside of that, his design, from what it seems like, is that he's supposed to be like this bait and punish character, and when he baits you, he gets massive damage, right? I mean, he has a combo throw and down throw. He has moves that should combo into each other. He has like this nair that's really good for comboing and for spacing. Not a bad out of shield option too. Though you have to factor in jump slots, which is 3 frame universally, but whatever. When it comes to like Ridley, his nair is kind of his other best tool, because your fair, while decent multi-hit, it's not the biggest hitbox, nor is his back air, and obviously if you're facing your opponent like here, then getting a back air off isn't going to be the easiest thing. It's not the best out of shield option. Not to mention his up air is only really good at hitting up, and you really have to spike with the thing because it has a sweet spot. You also have his down air, which is of course not good for out of shield. Like, what is this? It's a tiny thing. I know this is based on Metro Other M, but like they should have given his pogo stick from Super Metroid, it would have been a much better down air than what he has currently. Alright, so already there's problems with neutral because he doesn't have the greatest moves. They're either really small or they don't really work well together. You know what I mean? Like they don't really flow into each other as you'd expect for a character that's supposed to be like this Bane Punish combo character, right? He doesn't really have the greatest tools against certain defensive options, and while online you'd obviously get hit by his side B a lot, and offline you'll get hit by it too. You know, there's no, you know, like you'll get hit by it. You can at least react to it offline, and if you manage to avoid the grab, well then guess what? This thing has high startup, high end lag. I'm gonna hold my shield after it misses. Like, look at that. Like, that's bad. Not to mention, of course, that early percents, you can't really get away with doing this, because what Ridley's will do is that they will try go for a side B, but obviously if you know how the move works, then you know you can mash out of it. And what Ridley's will do after you mash out of it is that they'll go for a jab because it's their quickest option, but you can just roll behind them and get a punish. Or in some cases, like K. Rool here, he has a move with armor that he could just throw out, and there's nothing Ridley can really do about that, right? So Ridley essentially has to force a guess. You have to essentially make your opponent believe you're gonna go for a jab and then you don't, or whatever the case may be, right? Or if you don't feel like doing that, you can launch them by via jump. But the thing about the side B is that you can mash out so fast at low percents that Ridley won't really have that option until like 20 at the very least, from my own experiences, right? And obviously the main one you want to go for is the actual ledge portion. Now, you know, some people may say, well, Sab, what if you use this as a kamikaze move? Well, if you're too close to the ledge, he'll just go on to, you know, the stage itself. But if you do go off stage, well then guess what? Just let him do it. Just let him do the side B. Because if Ridley wants to live, if he wants to live and survive his stog, then he's going to jump it, right? And then he's just gonna force like edge guarding. All right, because if you mash during that state, you're gonna put yourself in a terrible position. All right, allow me to demonstrate what I mean by this. So we go to other settings and I'm playing slower motion. We're gonna have a roll over here, and I'm gonna be mashing. And because I mashed, I die. And I think I will die first as well if I'm K-roll. However, same scenario, same exact scenario, but this time I don't mash as the K-roll. Instead, I wait for us to die and I up B and I make it back. Why is this? Well, unlike other suicide type moves like me brawler side B or Ganon side as it's well known as, you know, moves like those, Ridley's actually makes your opponent jump up into the air, unlike those other specials, or at least from what I recall, to an absurd degree. I mean, Puff can literally just let herself get hit by this move and she'll just float all the way back to the stage, right? Doesn't even require jumps, or at least not many. So like, you can't really use this move to threaten people, you know, off stage. Sure, on instinct you may go, oh, like I gotta mash, you know, but once you know, oh hey, he'll always die first and I get sent upward, I have nothing to worry about. That's essentially why you can't really use this move as that sort of option. Not to mention the fact that, again, high startup, high end lag, there's just no reward to this move. Next we'll talk about his other moves, his recovery especially. So it's sort of like a fox up B, but not really. You can only go in 4 directions. You can either go straight up, forward, but he angles himself a bit downward, go back and he'll angle himself up, and go down, he'll angle himself a bit forward down, right? This version obviously spikes, so if you were in the air, or if you wanted to use this move to 2-frame, as an example, you can catch them and essentially ruin their day, take their stock order, or the case may be, right? So you can use that move essentially to 2-frame and, you know, gimp people in terms of recovery. You know, and in terms of priority, the wings are really strong. As you can see, they do have invulnerability on the wings. maybe if I slow things down a little bit, let's go up here. You can see a little bit of blue. So let's just zoom in a little bit. So there you go. You can see a bit of blue. That's the invulnerability that allows you to go through projectiles and other whatnot moves. So as long as the move hits the wings, then Ridley would be safe. Though that being the case, despite Ridley's whole, with the wings and all that, his airspeed's not that great, leading him to be one of the more edge guardable characters in the game. Just because you have multiple jumps doesn't necessarily mean you have a great recovery. As an example, Kirby has multiple jumps, sure, more than Ridley, but Kirby only really has an up B to work with, and that's also gimpable, and Kirby could lose for that, which is why Kirby in terms of recovery is weak. The same pretty much applies here. Sure, you can have multiple jumps, and you can have a pretty decent air dodge, but overall, you can't really say Ridley's recovery is good when the only recovery options you have is a Ridley's laggy side B and this up B. And reminder, this up B, they buffed it. This used to be much slower. Now it's faster. You can actually use it as a move, right, to like catch people off guard, right, if they're like on stage, or as an example, you can do something like this and they'll catch them off guard maybe. Obviously, it is a gimmick, and if you land, you're going to go through heavy amounts of lag, as I was holding shield there. I think even if you get the sliding portion, yeah, you'll go through a bunch of lag. So it's definitely not the greatest gimmick, but it's one that can work, especially if you just want to barge through projectiles being thrown at you. And then, obviously, we have his neutral B, which, when you charge it, more flames, more plasma balls show up, and if all of them are fully charged, you can essentially combo into this, because like one obviously isn't going to do much, but if you do multiple, then you can obviously combo off of it, whatever the case may be. The problem is that this move isn't the greatest. One, you stand still while doing it, you cannot cancel the charge, and if you get hit, you're sort of put into the stun where you can get punished even more. So it's not a pretty sight. It's not a bad projectile, especially for two framing, and essentially edge guarding or ledge trapping on the stage. It can catch people off guard, and the multiple charge does have different distances. Like if you were to put K. Rool over here, this little charge won't really make it, but fully charged will. So that's something to take note of, right? And lastly, we have what one might say a useless move, because it is what it is. It's essentially it's a skewer. It essentially grabs the opponent, sort of. You can shield it, so it's more like a hit grab. And if you land it, obviously, it does tons of damage. And the best part about this is that they're put like this as knockdown, so you can bait up. If you're, say, close to the ledge, as an example, you could do something like down B, and then whatever option they take, if they try get up attacking, you can catch that with like your down smash. If they roll away, for some characters you can still catch them with like a down smash. So whatever, right? Like, so Ridley has options like those, but again, it all comes from a very impractical move to land. And before, a gimmick that people would go for is that you'd go down throw, down B. But now they basically changed the move so that well, I'll show you. You'll get the damage of the initial skewer, but you won't get the knockdown or the cinematic. They changed this because, well, funny enough, with these two characters, it was essentially a Team Infinite where K. Rool down throws, Ridley down Bs, K. Rool down throws, the cycle repeats on and on. Lots of people would abuse it, essentially. Right? So, before you kind of had this gimmick where your opponent would probably like neutral air dodge or whatever, and they'll get hit, and then you can go for like an F smash read because F smash kills absurdly early, or you go for a down smash which covers a bunch of options. I believe this move even 2 frames, like, this is great. This is a great move. The special attacks aren't that bad. I guess I should mention that. Like, they are pretty good. F smash is really good for catching people, and it's a very powerful kill move. Down smash is essentially good for covering everything that his wings cover, because even his wings have a hitbox, right? And up smash is just, it's a really good up smash. It's essentially Fox up smash. The thing is that with Fox, obviously you face forward, but with Ridley you do have to turn around the up smash in order to get the initial hit, because if you do it from here, obviously it won't do anything, right? Like, you'll catch K-Rool there, but obviously you want to go for that back hit. It's much more reliable, and it has invulnerability on the leg, so it's a really good anti-air. You know, so that's one other thing great to say about Ridley, it's that. You know, but before he would have these options, and now he just doesn't. He really just, he kind of lost a lot of his own gimmicks, which kind of hurt him a little bit, but it also doesn't help that he himself just isn't a great character at all. I mean, he's fun to play as, and a lot of people put him mid-tier, like, he's obviously not a low-tier character. It's just that, you know, because of his hurtbox shifting, his lackluster combos, the fact that he isn't even like he's a heavyweight, but he's not like a super heavyweight like you'd expect. His aerial speed is not that great like you'd think it would be. His recovery is pretty easy to gimp. Like, it's not like one of the most exploitable recoveries, but it's still exploitable. Like, it's not super exploitable like, say, like a Fox recovery, but it's definitely exploitable, and Ridley will pretty much lose games because his recovery is just not that great, right? Ridley as a character suffers, he struggles, he has a massive hitbox, so characters combo him for days, and because of how he, you know, like I mentioned, how he hurtbox shifts, so many characters can just really combo this character and deal tons of damage to him. He's a sort of glass cannon, like in a sense Mewtwo you can make a comparison to, like you could make the comparison with Mewtwo in that they're both glass cannon E, but whereas Mewtwo's has amazing combos, an amazing projectile, amazing neutral, you know, various strengths. The only thing holding him back is his tail. For Ridley, it's almost everything. His projectile's not the greatest. His side B has like so much startup and so much lag. His recovery is exploitable. You can't really use it to land all too well. He has his own down B, which is essentially a useless move, like in the same vein of like Falcon Punch or Warlock Punch or whatever, you know. So, you know, he has a massive hurtbox, which means he gets comboed easily, and since he's not like a heavyweight, like he's a heavyweight, but he's like lighter than Samus as an example, he's gonna die really early. He has a lot of flaws. He struggles to get in, right? You know, despite being a bait and punch character, he struggles to get in because his hitboxes just aren't large enough to like bait people in and go for something. And when they are, like this move only sets up tech chases, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get something out of it. Like, sure, you could get a tech chase, and if you read where your opponent goes, then obviously you'll get more damage from it, but that's not things you can rely on. Sure, he has like a quick down tilt that he can combo off of, but again, that's just not something worth relying on, right? So I think, my personal opinion, I think Ridley is kind of a meh character overall. His hype from the reveal definitely does not match the hype he gets when he was actually added into the game as a playable character and being played as. He feels very weak, which is unfortunate, because I really do love Ridley. There's a lot that I love about this character. It's just that, unfortunately, he's a character with many flaws and issues, and I think that he would need substantial buffs to be considered a high tier to his overall kit, right? Like, I don't really know exactly what you could make other than make his moves combo better into each other, make like his spacing moves a bit better hitboxes, right? Maybe improve his airspeed a little bit so that way his recovery isn't like the most super gimpable thing. It's like you have this as a gimmick, right? And if you hold down, then obviously you'll hit under the stage. But again, it's all gimmicks. A lot of it with Ridley is just gimmicks, which is unfortunate because I love this character. I'm sure many of you watching love this character too, and would love to see this character be super buffed and improved upon. But unfortunately, it's just not going to be the case. I hope, like I said, I hope that through upcoming patches they do fix the character. You know, because he has like, I guess I should have mentioned other good tools like his dash attack. Like, it's a quick dash attack that kills. You know, he has a rapid. He has a standard 3-hit jab, which this 3-hit jab also kills, you know, the last hit. He also has a pretty good rapid jab, all things considered. You know, pretty good ender, all these things. So he's, you know, he can keep you away essentially with a quick jab, whatever. You know, he has a pretty good jab check, you know, like on your shield or whatever. But overall, just because you have like a few good tools doesn't compensate for like a lot of your other bad tools, right? Because a lot of what other characters can do Ridley just can't, and he just struggles for it so much. So with that all being said, I really hope that Ridley gets some buffs. That's my personal want for this character, because I think he's cool, I think he's awesome, and I really like that he's in Smash. It's just unfortunate that he feels so weak. Hopefully he gets buffed, but we'll see. With that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get to 1,000 subs, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Take care of yourself. Peace.
Coming through.